All right. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emily Engelnatski. I work with the Washington Capitals as their video coach. Awful headshot, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Not my tie either. But just talking about kind of my path to the NHL. I know there's some people in here whose goal is to work in the NHL, so there's many different ways to get there, but this is just mine, how I went from working in college to the American League and now to the NHL. So kind of a brief overview. My first ever job, I guess, as a video coordinator was in the World University Games in 2013. That's kind of where I discovered that this was a job you could have and a career that you could have. So I actually started out in women's basketball at the University of Wisconsin. Looking back now, I had zero idea what I was doing, and I kind of just flew by the seat of my pants, but learned a lot. And a year after I started there, I moved over to men's and women's hockey. July 2015 is when I attended my first Hudl, I think it was still sports code back then, conference, which I will reference in just a second. But again, you guys can read for yourselves, but this is kind of the path that I took, working for both men's and women's hockey, then going full-time with Wisconsin men's hockey, moving up to the American League with the Hershey Bears, and now with the Washington Capitals. So 10 years ago, I attended my first ever Hudl Users Conference, and like I said, I was still with Wisconsin women's basketball. And I think I remember talking to Matt Prefontaine, who works with Winnipeg, and I think I told him at the time, like, my goal is to actually, like, work in hockey in the NHL, and he looked at me like I had 4 heads, which, understandable. I worked with basketball at the time. But fun fact, you guys used to take us in a limo out to dinner. And so this is what networking looked like in 2015. I don't know if we can go back to that or not, but I think there's a solid argument to be made. Anyways, so the thing that I tell people the most kind of breaks down into 3 categories: listening, asking questions, and watching. So listening to meetings, practice prep, other presentations. I know, like, during COVID, the NHLCA did a really good job about having different presentations from coaches, and I tried to watch as many of those as I can. Was it all applicable to me at the time? Probably not, but I think it's really valuable to see how people deliver messages, how they teach, and also just hearing how different coaches talk about the game. So being a sponge really helped me learn not only how my coaches see the game, but how other coaches talk about the game, see the game, those kinds of things. And listening and keeping my ears open helped me anticipate future needs and wants. So instead of my coach coming to me and saying, hey, I want power play video each morning from last night's games, I can see that he's talking about power play a lot. It's something that as a coaching staff we've been talking about, so maybe I can cut some of his time down and just get that for him every morning, just have it ready. And that's just from listening to them talking. Asking questions, and understanding that there is zero shame in asking clarifying questions at any level. Knowing what you don't know, I think, is a really powerful trait or skill to have, because no one's perfect, no one has all the answers. And it helps you get outside your comfort zone. So there are times where, you feel kind of stupid asking, like, okay, I know we're talking about forechecks, but can you just explain the difference between X and Z? And also knowing when the right time is to ask those questions. Like, you may want to wait until your coach is done talking, but understanding that asking those questions can be really valuable in helping you learn and develop. And then lastly, watching. We all basically get paid to watch hockey, and it's awesome. But how are you watching the game? Are you just a passive viewer, which is totally fine every once in a while? But are you learning from watching? Are you trying to identify different breakouts, different systems, those types of things? Are you watching different types of hockey? Are you watching NCAA hockey, American League, leagues overseas? Like, There's different styles played all over the world. So are you just watching the NHL because it's fun and the best players in the world? Or are you watching different leagues, even junior teams, and learning from that? And then again, like I said, watching presentations and how other coaches talk and present. So kind of the beginnings. As a lot of you in college know, you wear multiple hats. You have a lot of other responsibilities, whether it's helping with recruiting, administration, or administrative things. So there's less time to spend on video, and you have to learn to simplify. You have to learn to manage your time. And for me, I had kind of a base knowledge of marking systems. Like, I grew up playing hockey, but I had never really broken it down in my head. And so I was marking kind of the basics. And then those instances and information got passed on to the coaching staff. Back in 2015, 16, 17, we didn't have SportLogic, Instat. Even if we did have access to it, I don't think the administration would have been willing to pay for it, to be quite honest with you. So I had to create my own output windows and Excel worksheets. And it obviously isn't as extensive as some of the SportLogic data that you can get now or Instat, but I had to pick the most important things that were valuable to our coaching staff and to our team. And then I think one of the most important things that I did that I didn't even realize was important at the time was talking with my coaching staff about my goals. So especially Tony Granato when he got hired in 2016, I believe. I'd never met him before. I obviously knew his background. And he asked me, where do you see your career in 10 years? What is your goal? And without even really thinking, I just told him, I want to be an NHL video coach. And without hesitation, he was like, okay, we'll help you get there. We're going to give you enough work that will help mimic the work that you would expect. But because they knew what my goals were, they could push me. And they did, and it was very uncomfortable at times. But having those conversations, I think, was a really key piece in helping me develop my career. From there, I went to the American League in Hershey, and this picture, without really knowing it, subtle foreshadowing, but I was watching the 2018 playoffs and just marking, basically kind of marking from afar. I would download the video later and just import the XML, but I was doing that for my coaches, one, for me, because I was interested in it, but I knew that there were certain systems that Washington was using that our coaches were interested in. So, again, subtle foreshadowing. This was 2018. And now I'm working for this team that I was marking. Anyways, so once I moved to the American League, I obviously had to have a deeper understanding of these systems, and not only understanding them, but being able to identify them. So face-off plays, different coverages, what those look like. How did I do that? Again, I watched a ton of hockey, NHL games, creating mock pre-scouts, which is probably something I was doing in this picture. And then trying to find a good time to talk with either a coach or a mentor and talk through what I saw and maybe how they saw things. So I might mark a breakout, but they see it as a retrieval. So just finding someone to talk through that with. And then again, asking for more responsibility. Could I present a game review or a topic? When we're talking as a staff about creating a practice plan, could I introduce a new drill or suggest a drill? So again, having those conversations, watching a lot of hockey, trying to just be a sponge. And also becoming a master with Hudl and just in general, the go-to person. I think we've all had a coach come to us with I'm not getting email on my phone, what's happening? Always making sure that they know you are the person that they can go to, basically anything technology-wise. And then staying on top of technology and trends, coming to these events that Hudl holds is one of the main reasons why I even got to Washington in the first place. I met Brett Leonhardt and Tim Ohashi in 2018 or 2019, got to know them a little bit, really did not think anything of it other than that's a really great connection to have. And in 2020, I got a text from Brett asking if I was interested in moving to Hershey, becoming a video coach there. And literally it was out of the blue, like no cold call or no like, he literally just texted me and was like, hey, it's Brett from Washington. And that was because I met him at one of these conferences. So I know we keep saying like networking, but it really is an incredibly powerful opportunity that everyone has. And finally, starting to incorporate analytics into our workflow. Once I was in Hershey, we had more accessibility to sport logic and different things like that. So one, understanding what those numbers mean and being able to explain it to our coaches. Not all of them are science-y or math-oriented. Sometimes you have to dumb it down and explain what these numbers mean because it can get pretty bogged down. And identify those trends, and again, be able to talk through them and find and choose the ones that are most important. So from there, going from kind of like, if college is like your bachelor's, the American League for me was like getting my master's degree, and then moving to the NHL was like getting my PhD. So now I can identify the different systems and nuances, but the next step was why are teams using these systems? Was it personnel-based? Do they have Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon? Makes a huge difference. Is it scout-based? Are they playing on a back-to-back, and so they're blocking more shots? Things like that, so understanding why. Is there a recent trend you're seeing, or is it something you've seen all season? And so, again, how do you start to do this? Listening to other coaches, run meetings, how do they talk about systems and execution? And then once you start listening, asking clarifying questions, again, finding the right time to ask those specifics, and then watching as many games as you can. So for Brett and I, we watch 3 games for each opponent. And if you're seeing something and you're not sure, watch an extra game or go to Sport Logic and try and really find that evidence. So if your coach asks you, is this something that they've changed or is this something they've been doing all season, you have that answer. Once you can identify those nuances, kind of flipping it and how can you exploit those. So again, using video evidence and the analytical evidence. Basically, the more tools or evidence that you have to support it really helps your coaching staff have the confidence to say, okay, great game plan, here's what we're gonna do. And finally, kind of the newest part for me was being able to deliver messages to coaches and players. So being able to run meetings, have kind of a flow to your meeting, and make it understandable to players who their attention span is 5 to 10 minutes. So how can I really get through my messages in that amount of time? This was a picture from our mentors trip this year. And kind of finding your own style and flair to presenting. Anyone who knows Brett Leonhardt knows he definitely has his own flair. He ended every meeting this last year with a rap quote, whether it was relevant or not. But that was something fun kind of the players looked forward to. So little things like that also kind of helps you calm down a little bit. If it's someone's birthday, putting something at the beginning of the meeting. Someone used to play for this team that you're playing tonight, making them put money up on the board, things like that. So kind of finding your own style and flair to everything that you do in general. Lastly, I think it's really important, I talked about earlier, having mentors. These are just 3 of mine. Kristen Sagert was my club coach when I was in college. God bless her, she saw me at my worst. And this is a picture from a USA camp where we're actually using Catapult. But she's helping me with time on ice. She's someone I've known since 2009, and I've leaned heavily on her for career advice, life advice, calling her before interviews. I was actually with her in 2020 when Brett texted me, and I was like, is this fucking crazy? Like, am I nuts? And she kind of helped me calm down a little bit. So she's been really instrumental for me. Tony Granato, like I said, played in the NHL, coached in the NHL, comes from a hockey family. I would not be in my current position without him, just with his support. Again, giving me a workload he thought was comparable to what I should expect at the professional level. And also just as a human being, like, he pushed me really hard, but he also was always there for me. When my dad was sick, he showed up at my doorstep with a huge Italian-style dinner that he and his wife had made. So he's someone that I continue to talk to, advice, whether it's interviews, things like this, talking in front of people. He's someone I can go to. And then Spencer Carberry, I actually first worked with in Hershey. But when I was there, in retrospect, I was very green. Like I said, I knew systems and things like that, but he literally took the time to sit down with me, talk me through systems, how he saw things, how to pick clips for a meeting, and spent a lot of time with me going over things like that when, most head coaches would be like, hey, I'm really busy, sorry, go to someone else. He would invite me in and talk over how he picks clips for pre-scout. So I think it's really important to find coaches or mentors and really thank them and use them as you go along your career, whether they help you get another job. We all know the NHL or even the hockey world is just small in general. So making sure that you have people that you can go to for questions, life advice, things like that when they come up. That's all I have. Happy to take questions if anyone has them. If you don't think of any now and you think of later, let me know. I'll be around. But
I have one question. Nobody else does. If you go back from your presentation to the slide with the caps where you were coding,
yes,
you said that you, where is it? You were asking to present and asking for drill. Yeah, asking for more responsibility, presenting a game review, talking to the team, and creating practice plans for drills for practice plans. Was that at Wisconsin or was that at Hershey? That was at Wisconsin getting ready for Hershey.
Yeah, it could be in both too. Like, I don't think I would have been ready to present in college necessarily, but just in general, kind of asking for more responsibility, whether it's, maybe you present something to just the coaches and just talking out loud, I think is maybe the takeaway. That way you're able to articulate things better. And then in Hershey, it was kind of taking it one step further and talking in front of the team, like once or twice or whatever. So yeah, kind of building on that, more so just one more responsibility to let your coaches know, like, you can handle those things. And again, always making their lives easier. That's kind of our job. But also kind of proving and showing that you can take that information and then articulate it back as well.
Really good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I would encourage any of the guys and girls in the room that aren't at the NHL level right now, the aspirations to ask Emily, because she's lived it for, like she said, the last 10 years. She was where you were in 15, 16, 17, 18. But you can do that in private later or now. But she's a great resource in my opinion.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Emily.